Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with Game Theory, and today, well, I'm not back onto the FNAF train, because this, well, apparently there was a detail we missed 10 years ago that apparently solves FNAF. I wonder what it is. So, 10 years ago, 2014, there were a lot of FNAF games, weren't there? Like, oh yeah, there was FNAF 2. Also, weren't FNAF 2 I'm sorry, I gotta remember the release calendar back then, but I remember, like, Scott was, like, released in, like, boom, 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 you know? Like, I still remember when Matt was complaining about Scott releasing, like, he promised one day, and then another day, and then, like, here you go, here it is, all done. Like, yeesh, remember that? Sorry, but anyway, down all back to the FNAF train and see where this goes. Be sure to subscribe for more, hope you enjoy, let's go.
Take a look at this footage from FNAF 2. Seems normal enough, right? But what if I told you that the Mimic is in this video? No, I'm not lying to you. And no, I've not doctored the footage either. The Mimic is here. They have been here since the very beginning. Give up? Well, if you look very closely, you'll find that the Mimic is this guy right here.
The Paper Pal?
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that cannot believe it has been 10 whole years of FNAF. Feels like just yesterday I was watching Markiplier scream at this tiny unknown indie game, and now it's an indie horror empire full of games, movies, books, and more merch than a Pizzaplex can handle. 10 years is a big deal. Believe me, we would know. And so to celebrate, Scott pulled out all the stops. We got an anniversary week full of fanverse games, demos, books, movie teasers, and of course, the crown jewel that was Into the Pit. So while that game offers a lot in the way of theorizing, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. Don't worry, that video is coming. I just need a little more time. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that video when it drops. There may also be a special theorist surprise in store. Hint, hint. But for this episode, instead of talking about the biggest release of the week, I wanted to talk about the biggest surprise. You see, we knew about every release that was happening during this anniversary week ahead of time. That was except for one. Steel Wool had a mystery announcement slot, and a lot of us just assumed it was going to be DLC for Help Wanted 2, but that's not what we got. Instead, Steel Wool completely sideswiped us by revealing a 40-second teaser, not for DLC, but for a brand new game. We open on a 70s style carpet. The camera tilts up to reveal a Jack-in-the-Box playing music. The music stops, the box opens, and we hear a laugh as a clown mask peeks out from the box. The film reel we're watching begins to burn up.
I saw this after the
1979. Finally, we see a title card appear from the darkness.
The Secret of the Mimic.
The internet lost their collective minds over this. Not only were we getting a game exploring the character that was a complete mystery when it appeared at the end of Ruin, unless you happen to read the books, but it was also going to be a prequel, set before any other FNAF game. A lot of us have been theorizing about the origins of Freddy's ever since we got the Fredbear Singing Show ticket in Security Breach, and in 2025, it looks like we're gonna see if we were right. But you know what? I'm not willing to wait that long. Call me impatient, but when you take a closer look, this 40-second teaser has actually told us a lot more than you'd initially think. This teaser confirms that we were right that the Mimic is from the earliest days in Fazbear Entertainment's history, but it also suggests that the Mimic's first appearance wasn't in Ruin, nor was it Security Breach, nor was it Help Wanted. No, we are being shown that the Mimic has actually been hiding in plain sight since the very beginning. The pieces were in place for us to figure it out. We just weren't able to follow the breadcrumb, or should I say, paper trail to realize sooner. So wind up that music box, friends, because when it opens, we'll be diving in head first to see what secrets the Mimic has been hiding. And in doing so, I believe we may finally be able to resolve one of the biggest conflicts currently facing the FNAF timeline.
A wound first inflicted on me.
Oh yeah, today's gonna be a big one. So let's get into it. The first thing we gotta talk about...
Well, this is gonna be big. So apparently the Mimic has always been a thing, which, I'll be. I always thought it was just a recent entry Steel Wool did, but if it's right, Scott's apparently been teasing it and just Steel Wool's decided to pick up the slack. Or maybe just pick up the pieces. I don't know how to phrase it right, okay? Sorry, just not sure even how to explain it. You guys? Well, anyway, let's just see where the Mimic was hiding all this time. But bearing with that clue, The paper pals? Can you even do that? Doubt it, but let's just see where it's going.
About is the design of Funky Tom over here. Jokey fan name aside, given the title of this game, it feels pretty unlikely that this is supposed to be anything other than the Mimic. But he's not the disheveled Endo we saw in Ruin. Now he's wearing a white mask with exaggerated eyelashes, rounded cheeks, and a bright red nose. Ugh, I can feel
Circus
the
baby all
childhood
in
trauma
touring?
rushing back. It also pops out of a Jack-in-the-Box, so clearly Steel Wool are going for a clown aesthetic with this newest version of the Mimic. Or is it the oldest version? This new old look does tie into our previous theories about the origins of Fazbear Entertainment. In that video, we discussed this
Fall
poster
Fest,
from Help
1970.
Wanted 2. A poster with a circus tent and the date 1970 on it. That, along with the mascot costumes in the ruined
1979.
basement, Glitchtrap's design, official artwork of traditional mascot costumes, and references throughout the books, all
Traveling
seem to be
circus.
telling us that Fazbear Entertainment didn't start with the creation
As
of
a
Fredbear's
diner.
Family Diner, but as a traveling circus.
circus.
Instead of the animatronics or springlock suits that we know and love today, this circus used more traditional, rudimentary mascot costumes. They were still the same characters, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, but played by human performers. Though there was one exception. We
they say
ended that
Fizz?
theory suggesting that the Mimic was also part of that same Fazbear circus. It shares design similarities with Sun and Moon, a jester who is associated with the carousel from the Fall Fest circus, a carousel that we watch burn. Repeatedly in Help Wanted 2, we see the festival burn down, both in the carousel level and in the Fazablast level. And what else do we know is burnt? The Mimic. In
Mimic.
the first epilogue of Tales from the Pizzaplex, when the Mimic arrives, it is first described as being burnt.
Survived
Thus,
some kind
it
of
seems
fire.
like the Mimic has been here since that Fall Fest in the 70s. You might think I was celebrating
So,
this
who set
fact.
the
My
fire
first
then, or
FNAF theory
what?
was right. Let's go! But then the worry
Hold up.
began to sink in. It always feels a bit wrong when a prequel introduces a new character. Plus, this franchise never gets rid of characters. We've had 28 versions of Freddy, 19 versions of Bonnie, and we even got 11 versions of Balloon Boy. Who asked for that? So then, why try to awkwardly insert the Mimic into the previous lore? I mean, retcon much? Except, what if I told you we have seen this clown before? Somewhere you'd never suspect.
I don't think Stone
FNAF
would do that.
2. I am, of course, talking about the characters I've been teasing since the start of the episode. The Paper Pals. No, I wasn't joking. These guys really are the key to everything. If you don't know who I'm talking about, the Paper Pals are these simple characters made from paper plates that have been hanging out on the walls of pizzerias ever since their introduction. To this day, we've never really given them much thought. They never seem to be that important, but their continued existence in the franchise has always struck me as unusual. In fact, the only reason I was reminded of them is because I was watching Dorko's playthrough of Into the Pit, and wouldn't you know
there.
it, they are
Right there.
once again just hanging out. For them to keep showing up, especially in these modern titles, they have to be important. And I think the weird clown mimic is the piece that ties them all together. Originally, there were 3 of these guys.
Yeah, that's actually, now that I think about it, that is odd. Like, think about it. Like, we always seen a paper pal, right? Like, or at least multiples. You know, Bonnie, or like the Freddy, the Bonnie, and, well, a balloon boy. Weird. Now that you think about it. Like, I never understood, like, what's going on with those guys. But is that even possible for the Mimic to do that? That's basically saying they're shape-shifting. Unless it's that audio illusion tech that Afton had. Remember what the Fountain animatronics had? You know, created the sound that made people see and hear what they want or were told to see? Like with the Nightmare animatronics, you know, the small little circular devices, remember? So, again, I'd love to know how this works. Like, what the heck? Anyway.
Guys. A Freddy pal, a Bonnie pal, and this thing. According to the game files, he's just called Paper Buddy. And of the 3, he's definitely the weird one. In FNAF 2, he could just disappear from the wall and suddenly appear in your office. He didn't do anything, he was just there now. Even his design feels out of place. The other 2 are clearly characters we know, Freddy and Bonnie, duh. But this guy doesn't have any recognizable features. He's got red arms, blue legs, a big smile, and a big big nose. It's just so weird. In a series full of
Definitely out of the
animal
ordinary.
characters, why have this generic humanoid-looking thing? Naturally, the only logical explanation we had at the time was that this had to be Balloon Boy. He was one of the few humanoid characters we knew about by FNAF 2, and he wears a red and blue outfit. But now that I'm looking back, I'm not so sure anymore. For Bonnie and Freddy, we aren't just relying on the colors to show us who they are. They have extra design details that connect
the
them
hat,
to
the
their iconic
ears,
characters.
the bow tie, boom.
Hats, ears, that sort of thing. If this paper buddy was supposed to be Balloon Boy, why
wait,
not give him some of his iconic attire? Like the propeller hat, or the sign, or, you know, a balloon, the thing he is literally known for. What this therefore implies to me is that Paper Buddy is actually supposed to be someone else. Someone with a much simpler design. And the answer
mimic.
of who becomes extremely obvious when you take a look at their appearance in FNAF World. That's right, not only were these guys considered important enough to be playable characters in one of the weirdest entries in this series, but Scott also used it to give us a vital clue about who this guy was supposed to be. And it's all because of one teeny tiny design change. We've gone over Paper Buddy's design already. The red arms, blue legs,
red
buttons,
arms.
big smile, happy eyes, big nose. All of that is the same in FNAF World.
Except the nose.
It's
It
still as
turned
big
red.
as before, and it's in the same place, but the color is now different. It's been changed to red, and a red nose means one thing. Clowns.
A clown.
What we're seeing is Paper Buddy's design matching exactly with the iconic design of clowns, and therefore also matches what we've seen from the mimic in this latest teaser.
red blue.
Now, I recognize that this feels like a stretch. This is all down to interpretation and could be taken a number of different ways. Believe me, I was honestly unsure of all of this too. That was until I found this. The final clue that absolutely sealed the deal for me that Paper Buddy is the mimic. Take a look at the attacks the Paper Pals have in FNAF World. The first two are Prize Ball 2 and Mystery Box 2. Both generic attacks that would make sense for any character in any pizzeria. But the third and final attack is called something very specific. Mimic Ball. A move that mimics the last attack used. I could not believe it when I saw this. Of all of the games, it was FNAF World showing us that the Paper Pals were specifically able to mimic others. The third Paper Pal from FNAF 2, Paper Buddy, is a paper version of the new clown mimic that we saw in the teaser. In my previous theory, I mentioned how FNAF 2 isn't a revamp of the old franchise, but a callback to the circus origins of the franchise. The red-cheeked toy animatronics were calling back to the original costumes worn at the circus. You have the carousel calling back to the carousel from Fall Fest that we got to see in Help Wanted 2. And now we have Paper Buddy calling back to the clown mimic that was present at that same circus. It all just fit.
Yeah, that's actually explains a lot too with Balloon Boy. Like, sure, he may be out of place in a regular pizzeria, but one based on a circus, well, duh, circuits give out balloons. Like, and hello, balloon artists, so wouldn't be surprised. Actually, now that I think about it, why didn't they make Balloon Boy a balloon artist? Seems like a really interesting idea, but I guess Scott thought, let's go on the nose. Anyway.
It's together so neatly. It could also explain the clown mask in things like Sister Location, the one that would later go on to become Ennard. Why is that mask in such a position of prominence? Because it was the third member of that original circus trio, someone who had been there since the beginning. Although, speaking of trio, while Paper Buddy being the mimic and appearing in FNAF 2 makes sense, him being grouped with Freddy and Bonnie feels a bit odd, right? Even for the early days of the franchise, a clown isn't the
Freddy,
obvious
Bonnie,
one
Chica,
to pair with Freddy and Bonnie. Chica I'd have understood, maybe even Foxy. But this guy is just so random. If you've followed us for a while, you'll know that we are obsessed with these kinds of details. The grouping of animatronics through merchandise or decor can often tell us a lot about the history of the franchise. We felt like Foxy had to come later because he had a separate stage to the other three. It felt like Chica wasn't originally part of the group either because she had her own Party World spin-off during Sister Location. And in Ruin, we figured out that Sun and Moon came much earlier because they were getting collectibles alongside OG characters, while newcomers like Roxy and Monty weren't. So placing the Mimic Clown alongside Freddy and Bonnie has to imply there's a special connection between the three. So why make the Mimic the awkward third wheel alongside this famous duo? Well, it's
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Like, before we move on, like, here's my guess. The reason the Mimic, or whatever it was called at the beginning, because let's be real, I don't think they originally called it the Mimic. My guess is the Mimic was originally part of the group with Freddy and Bonnie. But due to the fire in the past, and I'm guessing what's going to happen in Secret of the Mimic was supposed to be forgotten. You know, like, hidden away forever. Since, my guess, Mimic accidentally or on purpose caused the fire. That way, it would explain why the company of both FNAF, or Freddy Fazbear's are trying to hide it and, pass off the paper pal as Balloon Boy. I mean, heck, that could explain a lot. And the clown thing, too. Like, even if they try to hide it, they know they're always going to have a clown thing. Maybe it's just to appease it? I don't know. But, like I said, that's just my guess, but I don't know that's what's going to be revealed in the Mimic. There are secrets in the Mimic, but that's my original thought, okay? Like, the fact that the Mimic, accidentally or not, caused the fire in the original Fall Fest in 1970. That could explain why, the wind-up box in 1979. He's about to be released back into the public, right? That is the only thing I'm thinking of. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but if the Secret Amendment comes out, if I'm right, can you let me know? I feel like this is where it happened, but we'll see.
Turns out, the rule of threes isn't just an important literary technique. It was also super important for performances at the circus, particularly when it comes to clowns. In a traditional circus, you would have three major clown archetypes: the Auguste clown, the white-faced clown, and the contra-Auguste clown. We spoke about the Auguste clown in our previous theory. These clowns were the ones with red cheeks that were designed to appear silly and make children laugh. Often they were portrayed as an intelligent but lower-class clown, the laborer, the one who would do a job, often badly, which led to them getting a pie in the face or falling off a ladder, the typical slapstick stuff. The white-faced clowns, on the other hand, are supposed to be more serious and bossy. They were of a higher status, and so they would be responsible for assigning the tasks to the Auguste clown and would often become frustrated at their failed results. Finally, you have the contra-Auguste clown, who was the middle ground. Still lower class than the white-faced clown, but not to the same degree as the Auguste clown. And looking into clown literature, which, yes, is a thing that I read, the contra-Auguste's role was to do one thing: mimic the white-faced clown. No, I'm not making that up. It was right there on the page in front of me. What we now have are three distinct characters. So wait, who's who? A serious boss clown, a smart worker clown, and a mimicking clown. Now, look at who we have at the start of Freddy's. While we don't know a whole lot about the specifics of this Fazbear circus, we do know one thing. Henry and William were actively performing during the early days of the franchise, one as a bear and one as a rabbit. Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. William was the businessman, the serious one, the guy who was trying to make Fazbear a success, the white-faced clown. Then there's Henry, the intelligent laborer who was building the animatronics, the Auguste clown. And now we have a third, Paper Buddy, the Mimic, a clown animatronic that has been there since the early days of the franchise, now mimicking the past actions of the white-faced clown, William Afton, making them the contra-Auguste in this trio. Three clowns, three performers, three paper pals that have been there since the start. But sadly, choosing Afton to be the one to mimic wasn't the best decision. When this trailer was announced, Brian Freyamuth, the design director at Steel Wool, tweeted about it saying, "The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones." This is a quote from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. My immediate reaction was, oh yeah, this is about Afton being dead, and now here's evil lives on in the Mimic, who is now continuing to hurt and kill people beyond his death, like we've been predicting this whole time. But as I've thought it over, I think it might be something more than that. I actually think that this line is telling us the main plot point that we will see in Secret of the Mimic. A plot point that will finally answer the question that has haunted me ever since the release of Help Wanted 2. What did Henry mean by a wound first inflicted on me? This line comes from from the insanity ending of FNAF 6. Henry talks about how Afton used the souls of the children he'd killed to create Remnant, and then continued to torture them to create the fun times. But the most important part of that monologue is when he turns inwards and begins reflecting on his own part in all of this. He ends up saying he needs to heal this wound, a wound first inflicted on me, one that I let bleed out. For the longest time, we believe this was referencing Afton killing his daughter, Charlie. She was Afton's first victim, which led on to the killing of all the missing children. That was the wound that was inflicted on Henry, the death of his own daughter, that then bled out to the death of so many others. But then Help Wanted 2 came out, and it flipped that entire idea on its head. In that game, we had to light 6 gravestones in a specific order to receive the secret Bonnie mask. Each grave had a different puppet next to it, each referencing one of the 6 main animatronics. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, and the puppet. The 5 missing children, and Charlie. However, Charlie isn't the first grave you light. She's actually the last one, heavily implying that Charlie was the last to be killed. Honestly, I don't hate it.
And that actually does fit back to, like, Ultimate Custom Night. Like, remember, Chica said she was the first, which, again, correlates to, well, the graves. Think about it. She gives first, so, but what we thought was the wound first inflicted on me meant the puppet was first. But no, now we know it's actually Chica first. Begs the question, though, so did we have this order all wrong? Could it be that the 5 murders happened at 2, then, as revenge for Henry possibly, you know, reporting it or not, or to silence him, killed Charlie? I don't know. But remember, the order's off if you think about it like that, you know? Anyway.
From a law standpoint, there's a decent amount of evidence that can line up with it, but by suggesting that, it threw into question that line of a wound first inflicted on me being about Charlie's death. Instead, there had to be an earlier incident
maybe
that
he
wounded
lost the rights
Henry
to the
that
franchise?
would metaphorically bleed out, leading to the missing children's incident and the death of Charlie. So, what do I think this event is? Well, it all comes back to that Shakespeare quote. The line that Brian tweeted is delivered by the character Mark Antony at Caesar's funeral. Caesar was murdered by the character Brutus. However, Antony isn't able to directly accuse him publicly. So instead, he tactfully talks around the issue, calling Brutus an honorable man. This dynamic between Antony and Brutus, I suspect, is meant to be a reflection of Henry and Afton. Brutus was able to get close to Caesar because Caesar loved him, which is similar to the tactic used by Afton throughout this series. Put on the Spring Bonnie costume, a character that the children loved, and use it to lure them into a back room and kill them. For this quote to be used to promote the prequel game from 1979, it's telling us that Afton was abusing the love of this character way before the missing children's incident. And this early murder at the hands of Afton is what I believe we will be seeing in Secret of the Mimic. Maybe it will even be revealed as Afton's first. It's unclear if the person Afton kills will be a major character like Caesar is in the play, or whether it's just another kid, with the importance more being how early it is in the timeline. We only have a 40-second trailer after all. Much more is going to be revealed as time goes on. But what is important is if William is Brutus, Henry must be Antony. And that means he knew William committed the murder. That murder is going to be the wound inflicted on Henry, on the Fazbear business, on their friendship. That murder could have destroyed everything they built. But as we know, it didn't. And Afton would go on to kill again. Because just like Antony, Henry isn't going to accuse him directly. Maybe he was concerned for his business's survival. Maybe he was concerned about providing for his new daughter, Charlie. Maybe he just wanted to believe his friend could change. But whatever his reasoning, despite the wound Afton caused him, he never came out and admitted what he knew. He just allowed it to keep going, allowed Afton to keep killing. English philosopher John Stuart Mill once said, "A person may cause evil to others, not only by his actions, but by his inactions."
actions.
And in either case, he is justly accountable to them for the injury. That is why he feels so guilty in the insanity speech, because he knows that his inaction in that moment from the circus led to the creation of not one, not two, but 3 monsters. William, the yellow rabbit that would go on to kill so many children, the clown that was designed to mimic Afton, now carrying on his horrible legacy, and himself, the man who stood by and let the first murder happen, leading to the deaths of so many others, including his own daughter. I guess at the end of the day, they really were the perfect trio. But hey, I think we can all agree that we've got a lot to look forward to with FNAF. So many new games were demoed or teased during the anniversary, plus we still got a bunch of new books and a second movie coming, which means it's gonna cost a pretty penny to keep up with this stuff. Thankfully though, the sponsor of today's video, SoFi, is here.
Yeah, that's gonna stop there, but Jesus. Okay, so murder, and I'm guessing the mimic to help out cause the fire. Okay, so I don't know, I swear, I don't know that's what happened, but I wouldn't be surprised. I guess we'll learn more about that secret mimic game, but what do you guys think? I guess my little mimic being the arsonist theory was off, but sorry, just curious about that fire. I don't know if it was an accident, intentional, who knows, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. See ya.